It is such a lovely day in the garden. I'm out here grooming a couple of these pansies up. And I wanted to just chat with you and share a little transformation that's happened over here in this corner. We've had a few days of rain, which is so nice. If you follow me on Instagram, I was kind of complaining a little bit for a while there because I was like just watering and watering and watering. And I felt like at this point in the season, all of the containers are so, the roots have taken up so much of the soil that you just water and you feel like it's going nowhere. Like they're just soaking up every last bit of it. And when you don't have rain, it makes it hard, but get used to rain. It's a blessing, but it's also hard. It's been hard with fertilizing and figuring out how to fertilize and work with the rain. But then when we don't have it, I realize, wow, how much do I miss that? But I decided to go ahead and kind of make a hard decision and change out this little area of the garden over here and put in the plants that I want to have for fall, winter into spring of next year. For me in this zone, the things that I plant in the fall garden really become my spring garden. I don't find that I have really enough time to do like a full spring garden because our last frost is early to mid-April. And then, by that time we're planting out like the tomatoes, the summer annuals, by the time we get to May. And so I never really end up doing like a full spring garden. So all of the, violas, pansies, things like that I'm picking out right now, I really have to think about that they're going to last, really until we're ready to put in the summer things next year. So I've been keeping that in mind. And then with my baby coming, with my due date coming up here, I realized, you know what? I just need to pull out the summer annuals that I had in this space, plant in my things, and just get this bed like buttoned up and done. So that's what I did. I will insert a little image here of what we had going on in the garden before. So I had some of the sun patience. I had in here some coleus, a little agerantum, which never really did super well. And then there's the elephant ears and some of the perennials in the back. But of course, the coleus and the impatiens and all those kind of things are not going to make it through. Or is it impatiens or are they vinca? I'm not quite sure. Anyways, they're not going to make it through a frost. So it was time to go ahead and plant in some fall. I found some really stunning plants to add for fall, winter into spring. So this Majestic Giants fire pansy, which are beautiful. I have a few more that I need to pop into some spaces. And this really pretty viola. I mean, look at that. Gorgeous. That's the Color Max Purple Glow. And then I also found some black violas. And I put all of this in here as like a front section. I'm thinking that they'll all mound up and grow and fill in and really hopefully be beautiful, especially the violas by, next spring. These will be just, filling this whole area in, and the pansies will be poking out. I thought that was kind of cute, with the pansy right there in front of the raised bed. I do, of course, need to come back in with fresh mulch, but that will happen in due time. But I think these are my favorite. Like, there's nothing more like fall, Halloween vibe. Like, that's just so cute. But I think it also will be pretty for my garden next year because I'm into kind of like some vintage colors, and that sort of like that autumnal vintagey look is the look we're going for next year. And then I removed the other things behind it, and it still looks a little sparse. Like, it definitely hasn't filled in completely. But the Dusty Miller back here, which should grow all winter in my climate. They do sell Dusty Miller as an annual here. I've always seen it for sale as an annual, but it's pretty cold hardy, and it should, in our winters, zone 7A winters, that should grow up pretty nicely, and it should be totally fine. So I've got the Dusty Miller in the back there. It'll be, I may have that in there for a while. And it is nice. This is a little bit of a shadier side of the garden, tends to be more part shade. And so that like light color of the Dusty Miller in here kind of brightens this up a little bit in a way that I really like. And then I have the Cabbage. Let me go grab the tag. This is the same one that I put in some of the containers that I did for fall. It's the Famosa Cabbage. I planted it really close to the Pansies, and I had the thought, like, I don't know if that's too close, you know? Am I setting myself up for just the cabbages taking over the Pansies? Obviously, if they grew to their full potential, they would. And I would, at that point, I guess I could just move the Pansies and the Violas. But I have never had cabbages take off. Like, I've never been able to get a head of cabbage out of this garden. I've never been able to get it like bigger than maybe 6 inches, 8 inches. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong with cabbages, but I think that even though they're spaced closely, I'm guessing it'll be okay. This is technically a this is not an ornamental cabbage. This is technically one that I can eat, which I thought was fun, so that, like, if everything goes great, we can eat it. And that would be amazing. But I'm also kind of just using it as an ornamental cabbage in this context, to be honest, because I have no idea if it's going to head up or anything. So we'll just keep an eye on that. And then, of course, I can just always bump these plants out. Violas especially are pretty darn hardy. Like, if you have to move them, it's not the worst thing in the world. So, that should be fine. And then we've got the elephant ear, which I'm hoping will be a perennial. This is not the variety that I thought I was getting. What I thought I ordered were like the cup and saucer ones, and this is not that. This is something else. But it's very pretty. I like the dark leaves. I think it's beautiful there. And it's kind of small, which is okay. Kind of more like an accent elephant ear, and we'll just see if it survives the winter. Technically in our zone it could. And I've actually heard of a lot of people kind of complaining about elephant ears becoming invasive in their gardens and even starting to really cause problems. So, I may have a whole mess of elephant ear problems on my hands, or it may die back this winter. We'll just see how that goes. I had one big elephant ear, which was another kind of like that same burgundy color, but very, very large, in my front garden. What was that, 2 years ago, a year ago, last year, I think. And it didn't make it through the winter. It never came back. So it could also depend a little bit on our winter, right? If we get a really cold winter, that always changes things. Or if it's a warm winter, that'll change things too. So that'll be interesting to see. And then I've just been kind of working on this perennial section. You've seen that. It does not look fabulous right now, but I brought over this really pretty Rudbeckia, and I think it's in a pot right now, but I think I'm going to plant it into the ground. This area, even though it's back here in this corner, it gets like a really nice chunk of afternoon sun. Right now we have a thunderstorm that's threatening to come in and rain on me as I'm shooting this, but this area gets a nice like afternoon sun block, and so I'm hoping that even though these are pretty like sun perennials, that they'll get enough sun to do well. And of course they're all first year right now, so next year this space will look very, very different. At this point in the season, I'm kind of just like ready for next year, preparing for how things are going to be next year and not worrying quite as much about what it is right now. I'll just let this area get started. We'll keep going. And then I got 6 packs of those Violas. So I've just been popping, all of them into little pots. Here's my little grouping of pots. This is the container that has, the Famosa cabbages in the containers. And then I put in one of the little black Violas here, one of the little purple Violas there. These are the peppers that I started from seed, the ornamental peppers. Aren't they pretty? I don't even care if they're not going to produce peppers before the frost. Like, I still think they're a really pretty plant. But I think this looks nice in fall. And yep, it's nap time. So we've got the baby monitor out here. I don't think these containers are getting quite enough sun to make the these are little calibrachoas like totally happy. They kind of look a little bit sad, but we'll see if they can get some more sun and get a few more blooms before the season is out. And then, yeah, just been doing things which I've talked about in a few other videos over here. But I've got a few more pansies that I need to find homes for. But all fun stuff. And let me give you the long view. Here's the backed up view. I think it's gonna be really pretty once it all fills in. You know, if you can see the vision. I've got the vision in my mind. It's always fun when you plant like little stuff like that, because you know, you have that idea of what it's gonna look like. Same like when you do containers from seeds or things like that. You know, you have this vision in your mind, and sometimes it works out perfectly. Sometimes it works out better than you expected. Sometimes you live and learn. But I think this area is gonna be nice, and it feels good to have that buttoned up and done. You know, we're here in mid-September, probably earlier than I needed to really plant that area out. But again, we're just, as I've been saying in all these videos, we're working on a different schedule this year, so we're trying to get things done. Speaking of which, I need to do a little bit of work out here, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.